of course, we know that the one study where you helped implement RBM, it was a large-scale study. The members of our peer group are these small to mid-sized companies. And I think a lot of times they feel, well, this technology or that technology is great for the big companies, but for small companies like us, it just doesn't work, either because of cost or the study isn't big enough to justify having some of these technologies as part of it. Do you have any advice for those folks? Is this still something they should be looking into and incorporating regardless of the size of their company or their study?
I agree. I mean, I don't think that the RBM systems that I've seen, I'm working on very small early phase studies right now, and we do not have RBM implemented in a formal sense. So I mentioned, I think of RBM and quality management more as a process. So for companies and positions that are similar, do I think if you're talking to RBM vendors and if they're selling you on all the advantages of it, if it's not for you, it's not for you. If it's something that you're not at a scale that it makes sense, then no, I don't think you should be implementing a formal risk-based monitoring approach. You can still do 100% STV in a first-in-human study, and I think that's appropriate. It's when you start to get bigger, later phase 2, big phase 3s, that's when it begins to make more sense. But what I would absolutely do is still implement a risk quality management system. So in other words, go through the exercise of looking at your protocol, looking at the data, and then having processes set up for the course of the study that you are periodically checking in, and you have a few indicators, and I would manage it that way.
And I remember a few years ago when I first heard people start talking about RBM, there were kind of a lot of, I'd call them horror stories out there where people were saying CROs will not go along with this. They make so much money off billing for this that they won't do that. I heard other people saying that a lot of CRAs are going to be out of a job as a result of this if we're not verifying everything 100%. None of that seems to have happened. And my thinking at the time was, well, if we're not verifying things 100%, we can take the labor that we have been using for that and use it for other tasks that are more vital or necessary for the conduct of the trial. But
right.
It just doesn't seem like things the way some people thought they would.
And it was the same thing with, data entry, because, when I started in industry, we had a room full of people just doing data entry, and they said, well, if we do electronic data capture, all those jobs go away, and they didn't. It's just an evolution. Pharmaceutical and biotech, we are notoriously slow to adapt, new technologies. I think, I have to remember the source, but I think I read a statistic that between big oil and big pharma, we're the only two industries that haven't increased our efficiency, even though we have all this wonderful new technology, and part of that is because at the same time we have all these new systems in place. We don't embrace them that well, but we also have gotten more complex, so that's sort of eroded a little bit of any technology gains that we would have had.